please use the hashtag, hashtag Opportunity Project. We really want to show the world what you guys are doing here. Take pictures, tweet, Instagram, social media of choice. So let's get the word out. We're really excited and encourage people to watch the live stream too. So just stepping back for a moment, many of you have a lot of context on this work. Many of you may not. So the Opportunity Project is really about working together to create more just and equitable communities around the country. And to do that using open data and collaboration. At South by Southwest last March, the president called for us to collaborate with each other to solve hard problems. He said that it's really only in the nexus between technologists, nonprofits, communities, and government that we're gonna solve hard problems. Many of you have already answered that call, so thank you for that. And we hope that the rest of you in the room are inspired to do the same if you aren't already. So again, thank you to the teams who have joined us, who have created new digital tools that are helping families find affordable housing near transportation and jobs, helping advocates to be able to see equity gaps between schools, policymakers to be able to see areas where there aren't enough resources in certain neighborhoods and there needs to be more investment. And so far, there have been 40 tools that have been created through the Opportunity Project. That's a lot of impact that we are having on communities. And these were built by a range of organizations, all non-government organizations. And you all have stepped up. You've stepped up to solve hard problems, using 21st century tools to do it, using collaboration to do it. And that's a really exciting thing to see. This work is really grounded in the president's background as a community organizer. So let's just sort of go back in time for a moment. Imagine it's 1985. You are a 24-year-old. You move to the south side of Chicago to organize with low-income residents of public housing to fight for their rights. You wish that you had all the information at your fingertips that you could use to be able to demonstrate these are the resources that are missing in this community, but you don't. So fast forward to 2016, it's the digital age. We are swimming in troves of data, whether that is big data, crowdsourced data, open data. And from a tech standpoint, it actually is possible for us to have all that information at our fingertips. And so that's what we're about. We're about empowering people with information for them to make more informed decisions and for us to be able to help people access resources that are needed to thrive, whether that's affordable housing, transportation, jobs. We're also about being the best steward of our government data that we possibly can and making sure that it gets in the hands of people who can create things with it that will solve real challenges in people's lives. And we've worked to do that by curating data across these issues that we feel like are really relevant to communities and to people in communities, whether that's data sets about proximity to jobs, transportation, housing, that come from across a wide range of federal agencies and local governments as well. We tried to do that work of pulling those together so that you all can take it and translate it into things that really impact people's lives. And the third, as I mentioned, is we're about collaboration. We really believe that that's where this work will have the most impact. And this project has been a very collaborative effort across a number of different agencies. We have Commerce, Census, the Presidential Innovation Fellows, HUD, and then all the agencies that have been part of this current sprint, which I know Drew is going to talk about in a moment. So with that, I'm going to turn it to Drew to talk a little bit more about what we've done so far, where we're going, and what you're going to see today. So thanks, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Thank you again for being here, and hopefully with some more context from Aiden, you understand why we are so excited to have such a diverse group of stakeholders around the room. I think if you look around and if you talk to your neighbors, and we'll give you a couple of breaks to do that, you'll see this is a really incredible group of people who represent not just the tech community, but communities, local communities, philanthropy, universities, students, very international crowd as well. So we're really thrilled about that. And Aiden mentioned that I was going to talk through sort of how this process works and really what we're here today to do. And so some of you may have either been at our launch of the Opportunity Project in March of 2016. Raise your hand if you were here. Anybody was here? Okay. Great. So a few people. But what we're really excited about now is to see how much that has grown over the past 7 months. So when we were sort of first rolling out this process and thinking about how we could structure this collaboration, one of the things that came out of it was that we bring together cohorts of technologists, community members, students, subject matter experts, and many of you in the room are those people. And together, those teams have gone through a 6 or 8 week process of creating brand new digital tools that didn't exist before, combining their expertise to create all of these things like Aiden described. And so we had the first of these sort of events pulling everyone together to celebrate that work back in March. And it was really grown out of, like Aiden said, sort of the goal of using brand new data on housing and neighborhood resources. But since then, we've really taken a step back and said, the amazing talent that exists that could be pulled into this process could solve any number of problems that are facing our country, whether that's improving emotional well-being in communities, improving transportation access, helping people to connect with jobs and skills. And so that is really what we're here today to talk about, is the way that people across the country, technologists, community leaders, subject matter experts, have tackled a set of challenges that a bunch of federal agencies in combination with other experts have identified. So the experts and the people in communities who really know the problems have said, this is what we're facing, and this is where a tech solution would be really valuable. And then through this 8-week process, not only this 8-week process, through courses at universities, through coding boot camps, a lot of people around the country have come together and created solutions that answer that call to serve members of the public. So what you're going to see today is just a showcase of some of the ways that people have come together to use federal open data to solve those problems. But there are many more ways. And hopefully this will kind of give you an example and a taste of what those solutions look like and inspire you to check out the others and create more on your own. And so we're excited for you to be part of that process. I do have one other logistical note. Lauren Lipovic from Esri. Say hi to Lauren, everyone. We very unceremoniously forgot to add Lauren into the program for today's event. She will absolutely be speaking after Neela Richardson. So I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge her, since we did leave her out of the program, and I hope that everyone is very excited to hear Lauren speak. So with that, I am going to turn it over to our first speaker, Justin Antoni Pillay, who we are really thrilled to have speak today. Justin serves as counselor to Secretary Penny Pritzker, the Department of Commerce, with the delegated duties of the Undersecretary for Economic Affairs. And in this capacity, he leads the Economics and Statistics Administration, which includes the Office of the Chief Economist and 2 of our nation's leading information agencies, the Census Bureau and the Bureau of Economic Analysis. And he serves as senior advisor to the Secretary on a wide range of economic issues, including tax, digital economy, and data policy. And one of the reasons that we are incredibly thrilled, of course, in addition to all of the work that he's done on open data in general, is that Justin is going to be talking about the ways that the Opportunity Project will continue, because this is by no means, the end. This is not a flash in the pan. This is something that is really part of a bigger movement, and the Department of Commerce and Justin's team are going to be really critical to making that happen. So thank you so much, and I will turn it over to Justin.
Could I have a quick round of applause for Drew and Aiden, who really have been leaders on the Opportunity Project? And good morning. Good morning. All right, so let me start by saying thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm very excited to talk to you about data this morning. But if I were to put you on the spot, if I were to ask you to raise your hand and I were to call on you here in the White House in front of the cameras and ask you to name 3 parts of the Department of Commerce, raise your hand if you could do it. You guys are terrific and smart, and I won't do that to you in the White House. But we, the Commerce Department includes, among other things, the Weather Service, the Census Bureau, the Patent and Trademark Office, and many other bureaus. And just by naming them, you can tell we get it. We get the way that data can change the world. And so I'm really pleased to announce today that the Department of Commerce will take the lead on the Opportunity Project going forward. And what we are really pledging to do is honor the legacy of what the President and you have started over these last few months. And to take an all-of-government approach, an all-of-community approach to solve specific and actionable problems and to bring them to the fore going forward. And we couldn't be more excited to do it. These kinds of public-private partnerships, obviously, they didn't start here. We've been doing it for a long time. Going back to Edison, many of you know, and we all know, all of the incredible inventions that Edison brought to us. But he was one of the driving forces behind the first naval research laboratory. And the public-private partnerships that came from that laboratory include things like radar and jet engines, GPS, and it's one of the precursors to the internet. NASA is another good example. Through public-private partnerships with communities after inventions by NASA, you brought a whole bunch of things that changed the world. Everything from smoke detectors, cordless tools, home water filters, LED light bulbs, and the light goes on. And we see here today the legacy that public-private partnerships and real collaboration can bring. I couldn't be more proud when I see what you, businesses, nonprofits, communities, charities, are doing in Edison-like fashion to really bring specific tools to communities and people who need it. You ought to be proud of what you're doing to change the world. I think Aidan's right. To me, the Opportunity Project is really a legacy of community engagement and community organization. And we're really lucky to have a president who started in that world, who understands the benefit of collaborating and bringing people together. But he not only did that, he not only has that background, but he started from the first day he was in office with an open data agenda from one of his first acts. But then he brought on board incredible talent, bringing on the first chief technology officer, the first chief data officer, innovation officers, giving us the Presidential Innovation Fellows Program. How many PIFs are in the room today? You guys are changing government in ways, and I can tell you, having run parts of bureaus and working in an agency, you are changing the way government works in ways that you don't even realize by bringing approaches like open source and others. The president also brought us the U.S. Digital Service and the 18F, which here in the government has been transformational, and new hiring authorities that let me and others at the Commerce Department really bring talent on board that we needed to change the way we were doing business. But let me tell you, we read about every day all around the country people like you who are trying to change and engage. And when you imagine the way it used to be and the way we're trying to get to, you can see what your projects are really doing to advance our opportunities. I mean, just think years ago you would have a young woman who worked her way through college. She has big dreams, and she wants to change things for folks who aren't making so much money. She's willing to struggle and sacrifice. She's willing to live in the community and willing to start small. You might take a low-paying job as a labor organizer, and you might take a job trying to represent in a labor context the rights of those workers. Because of the president's background and because of this focus on data, we are trying to build a data approach, a data-driven approach to accomplishing missions like that, so that when community organizers, community engagement happens, it happens not only based on gut instinct and word of mouth and ethnographic issues. All of those are incredibly important. You need those. but we want to bring data, specific actionable data, so that those missions can be accomplished better, faster, and more efficiently. So when President Obama launched the Opportunity Project, he sparked a new kind of community engagement, bringing together people like you who are passionate about making a difference and bringing tools and strategies to make that happen. So I'm really, really thrilled that we at the Commerce Department can institutionalize and really bring this Opportunity Project into the future. And we're doing a lot on data even at Commerce. Because of the hiring authorities and other focus the president brought, we were able to build our own team of experts, developers, and data scientists inside the department. We call it the Commerce Data Service. And you'll see they're winning award after award because they brought exactly the same agile approach that you're bringing to the projects. And having software developers and data scientists in-house has allowed us to iterate through problems much more quickly than we could in the past. We're training our own folks at the department. We've started a data academy. And this is an incredible thing. When we offered the first round of training, out of 45,000 employees at the department, 3,500 folks signed up to get data science training. Couldn't train them all in the first round, but we're working on it. We're working on specific and actionable problems to improve the way we do business, improve the way we deliver our services, and identify folks who need our services better using data. And we have issued a very complementary challenge to what the Opportunity Project and what we have been doing on the Opportunity Project. Because one of the things we have seen is that while we are proud of all the companies, multinationals, and consultants that are using and getting our data directly, we want more charities, nonprofits, we want more small and medium-sized entities to use our data. And we have issued a challenge for companies who build last-mile solutions to help us build scalable tools so that manufacturers and distributors are using the data in the same way that multinationals are, and that charities and nonprofits can use it in exactly the way that you are bringing tools to the country. So I know I might be close to time, but I do want to recognize and make sure that the names of the people who have actually brought us here today are read and that are recognized, because these kinds of projects don't get off the ground in an abstract way. Aidan Van Noppen, Drew Zachary, Luke Tate, who you all have met, have been absolutely unbelievable in driving this agenda. Victoria Brown, Kip Wainscott, Natalie Evans-Harris, who is a leader all around the government on data, have been absolutely critical to bringing us together inside the government to drive the agenda. Inside Commerce, I couldn't have a better partner in John Thompson, who leads the Census Bureau and who really understands the value of data, along with Jeff Meisel, Kate McCall-Kiley, Ross Dakin, and then I'm naming some Presidential Innovation Fellows here: Oliver Kamada, Justin Kofopoulos, Garen Givens, Mark Brown, and Rob Renner from HUD, who has also been, as you'll see, a real leader in what we've been trying to accomplish. And of course, Megan Smith, DJ Patel, and Cecilia Munoz, who've brought this approach from the White House, and again, from the agency approach, where we're seeing the tools that we've been given and are able to take some of these things and move them forward at the agency level. It couldn't be better to have leaders like Megan and DJ and Cecilia here in the White House who are driving us forward. So let me end with our a thought from our president, who said it years ago. "I decided to become a community organizer," young Barack Obama wrote in Dreams of My Father. "Change won't come from the top. I would say change would come from mobilizing grassroots." That's what we are seeing here today. You are part of the grassroots that are really changing the country, bringing tools that can move mountains. I can't wait to see over the next few years how you are going to take us forward on bringing data to the country. I can't tell you how excited we are to honor the legacy of what you have started over these last couple of months and to curate and drive the Opportunity Project forward to bring more tools to communities around the country. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Justin. And thank you for all the work that Commerce is doing. We really couldn't do this without you guys, and you're at the forefront of making government data as usable as possible. And I just want to acknowledge that all of these other federal agencies who are in the room and who have worked with us are also advancing that call. And I want to thank those of you who stepped up to be part of this cohort. So the Office of the Surgeon General, Department of Education, Department of Transportation, Department of Housing and Urban Development, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Department of Labor, and then with a lot of support from the Department of Veterans Affairs. You all offered up your data, you offered up your expertise, you offered up a challenge that was going to impact the American people with technologists and subject matter experts and communities engaging on that challenge. So thank you, and we know that this is only the beginning of working with you all. Thank you to Commerce to helping us to continue that work, to expand that work, and really we're so excited to see where it goes. So with that, I want to hand it over to my boss, Megan, who I have the pleasure of working for. Megan Smith is the U.S. Chief Technology Officer and Assistant to the President. This is a job that was created by President Obama in order to unleash the power of technology, data, and innovation on behalf of the American people. And Megan embodies that. I have never seen anyone so positive and visionary about the role that technology can play in helping to advance our priorities. Megan's passion is unleashing the potential of the American people, and that's what she is doing. So Megan was previously a VP at Google X. I know she's like, come on, hurry up, I want to talk. VP at Google X, where she, which is, by the way, like the most creative part and fun part of Google, where they come up with crazy ideas, like Megan being responsible for the acquisition of Google Maps. So that's just the beginning, and you will understand what I mean when you hear from Megan. So Megan, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Hello, everybody. It's so great to be here with you guys. So I was in New York City for the UN General Assembly meetings, and I came out of Penn Station, and on the building there, the post office building, it says, I'm not going to get it exactly right, neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night will stop the carriers from their swift completion of their routes, or something like that. It doesn't say, let's use the Pony Express to deliver mail. And it doesn't say, let's use telegraph, or it says we're going to do this thing. Right? And we're going to use one of the things that's true about our country, and if you look back at President Washington and the beginning of the country, he started the Army Corps of Engineers before the country was founded. And we've always had what President Obama is doing with us and with the leadership across. What is the best way to solve this in this now new moment, right? And so like the postal carriers, you're going to get the mail through. And so it's been so incredible to team up, whether it's the Commerce team, the Labor team, the HUD team, Office of Surgeon General and HHS, Education, USDA, across the board on this set of topics. Because the president, when he came into office, opened up the data in those early days of sort of setting policy for open data, because that's the new normal. And he's standing on the shoulders, of course, of President Madison, our most open government president, and we celebrate Sunshine Week, and we sunlight data from the beginning, and being a transparent open government is in our principles. But really this new opportunity, because we've created the internet, to do things in whole new ways, in a data-driven way, at a whole other scale, with the kind of ecosystem that Americans always leverage in every time, and now in this time, this room. So the ecosystem that's in this room is just astonishing. So we have our teammates from you just heard from Justin, and we're going to hear from Chris in a minute, from the agencies. Who is here from the agencies and from government? Thank you. So all these different teammates who are here in government and sort of government service, various different skills, some tech folks. We have presidential innovation fellows in the room who come and serve with sort of front end and back end and user interface design and those kinds of ideas and new ways of doing things, design thinking, usability, to those incredible policymakers. Teammates from this, who's here from the private sector on the commercial side? So those who have built, thank you for being here. One of the great things is data sets can have APIs. And so they can be accessed. They were accessed long ago. We were just looking up some of the early days of open, citizen science and data science, there was a Navy leader in the 1840s who made it a requirement that the sailors would write down the weather and the wind every 15 minutes and other kinds of key indicators. And that data set, which is one of the earliest US data sets, crowdsourced citizen science, became a critical data set that many of the early Navy work, but also the scientists used. One of the coolest things that came out of that was being able to see where the trade winds and other winds were on a regular basis. People started to be able to go from New York City to San Francisco in not 1 year, but 3 months. So when we see the data, we can see things that we might not have known before. And so what's so cool about the commercial sector, and who's here from the nonprofit and the philanthropy sector and partners who are building on top, thank you. And who's here from, do we have any youth in the room who are doing this as school projects? Yay, cool. So my hope is that, and in fact we've just found that this is true in LA, the Los Angeles city team, the CTO has gone into 11 different universities from USC, UCLA, into the career and technical services, learning institutions as well as community colleges, and they've added city data sets into the curriculum so students do real projects on things for their community as part of learning. And I guess LA will be retiring several thousand people from government over the next 18 months. And they're hoping, like Rahm Emanuel's work that we've seen in Chicago of different community colleges and other colleges are going to the industries of Chicago. LA is doing that. And so the more youth we can pull into this and the more we can put it into the computer science curriculums, the better. Who else is here? Do we have other policymakers, folks, academia? It's academia folks, academia folks, thank you. Policymakers, thank you. So just a really great crosscut, and it's in the interconnection of this ecosystem that we're gonna solve the problems and do the work that we wanna do. And what's really exciting is today, you can walk into the United States Census building, and there, going back to history, is literally the Constitution in their lobby. It says we will count the people and share the resources. We will do this every decade, and what they wrote. But you can also keep going just a couple more steps, and there's their cafeteria, communities gathering, and right next to it is an innovation lab. And people go into that lab. 400 projects have gone through that lab, and it's a nexus of innovation for the census team that the leadership have put together. And the Presidential Innovation Fellows were very much a part of that. And now the new normal is the big data thing that census, for this country, has software developer kits for cities, and this opportunity project collaborating deeply with our partners from the different agencies. And so instead of our agencies having to make websites themselves to solve these hard problems of mobility, of economic opportunity, of emotional health, the Surgeon General working on that, apprenticeship, access to skills. Instead of trying to solve that directly or only through grant making, we can add an extra tool set, which is the open data out there, and you guys have done extraordinary things. Not unlike those before who built on top of the weather data and the mapping data that we now carry around in our pockets, and help us do so many things in our lives. How can we help ourselves in the same way with those data sets, exactly like all of the applications that are happening here, by releasing that incredible asset that American people have helped us build into the world for our nonprofits, for-profits, our youth, and everyone to deliver on top of. And then also what I'm seeing with colleagues, Justin talking about the Data Academy. I also know the Social Security Administration is teaching Code Bootcamp to 110 federal employees this fall. So exciting to see the upgrade of new skills and new methodologies from within. So, Chris Liu's going to come up and talk more about about labor and the work that they're doing, but really thinking about what they're trying to achieve, whether it's through the Tech Hire partnership that we've had, that the president led us to start to open. We have 5.5 million jobs open in the United States. The largest set of those is in this area of coding and IT and high tech. And so how can we, just like everybody learns freshman biology, how can we make sure we all learn some coding? Maybe not everybody's going to be hands-on keyboard, but we have that new 21st century fluency. And so the president started Computer Science for All and data science work within that, right? Can we get everybody in? And there's amazing momentum there. And then the teamwork with the Department of Labor and others on Tech Hire, which is using these short courses, these 3-month courses that are now in 51 different regions, including most recently South Central Appalachia. Eastern Kentucky is doing coal to code. and people are moving into these new industries. Our companies are starving, and we have almost 1,000 employers who are doing pulling people off of this alternative training. And so what's happening today is the matching and the workforce data that the Department of Labor is working hard to bring to everybody, and now you guys can innovate across that and solve problems in the way and get everybody involved, and more Americans are getting to the point through these new training mechanisms to have these skill sets to also join your companies and do that. So it's really a two-part play. So I'm gonna step down. We're also working really excitingly down the hall. I came from a meeting all about global connectivity and getting people online and the president's leadership there. So we're really seeing this new way. You know, sometimes people talk about the fourth industrial revolution as really this sharing economy, this ecosystem collaboration. We're seeing it from things like Uber and Lyft and Kickstarter. We're seeing it from Airbnb, and we're seeing it all around the world, and it's happening in every country. The open government partnership and collaboration and the open source programs, this new way of being together, using the internet as an interconnection tool for solving problems, our greatest problems, our community, and really to bring it back to the president, his leadership, both the fun we had for South by Southlawn early this week and the work that he did early to kind of think about last spring, going to South by Southwest, where the innovation communities of America, whether it's music or film or tech, are coming together, asking everybody to step in and collaborate together on these harder problems of our country and solve them together so we can really lift everybody and realize what we have, which is the greatest asset of our country as the American people. So thank you very much for all of your amazing work.
Thanks, Megan. So now I have the pleasure of bringing up Chris Liu, who is the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Labor. First, I'll just start by saying that Labor has been an incredible leader on this work. And today you're going to see some really, really exciting stuff that has come out of Labor. They just today are launching a new API that's, I don't want to spill the beans too much, but the Open Skills API that's pulling together in a really, really exciting way data from Department of Labor, from USA Jobs, and from the private sector, so you can get a real-time, very dynamic view of where real jobs are in communities. So we're really excited about that. You're going to see some tools that have been built with that API. DepSec Liu has a long history of public service. In fact, he worked for Senator Barack Obama as his ledge director and acting chief of staff. And then he's worked actually in all three branches of government. And he was in the White House previously as the cabinet secretary and assistant to the president, liaising with all of the agencies. And then now he's the deputy secretary of labor, where he's a real leader on a number of different fronts. So Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be here. My colleagues at the Department of Labor know that I'm a little bit of a data geek, and I love this. And I love this for a lot of reasons. You know, Tom Perez and I think that, you know, and look, we think all federal agencies are fantastic. We think we're at the best federal agency. And we say that for a lot of reasons. It is hard to think of a more noble mission than what we do at the Department of Labor. We help make the American dream a reality. We provide people with jobs, and when they get those jobs, we protect them, we make sure they're paid fairly, we make sure they come home safe and sound to their families, and we make sure that their retirement savings are protected. Yet, as we go about that mission and as we've worked to transform our workforce system over the last couple of years, we know that we can't do this alone. And we know that in the process of the work that we are doing, we are generating enormous amounts of data. Yet we don't have the capability to really manage it. We don't have the ability to mine it. And that's why we're fans of using this open data initiative, because we're not only people that are generating the data, we're also potential consumers of this data. And we believe passionately that the challenges that the government faces, that we at the Department of Labor or that the American workforce faces, are ones that can't be solved alone. And so we have openly supported this initiative. We have provided resources. We have a Presidential Innovation Fellow. We have an Chief Innovation Officer. We have all these, you know, folks in our various agencies who are supporting this effort, not only with their time, but their money. Because ultimately what this is about is helping to make the American dream a reality for everyone. And when we provide them data about the training opportunities, the job skills that are open, the salaries. That not only makes them better, it helps employers, and it helps our communities as well. And so we're excited about the digital tools that are being rolled out, not only the ones that are using our data today, but the ones that are combining data with the private sector, but also other federal agencies. And I had a chance yesterday to meet some of the extraordinary people who are behind one of the initiatives. Let me ask you, the 3 people from the Flatiron School, just raise your hands. I love these guys. They spent time, we had about 40 minutes in my office yesterday to talk about the work they're doing. And so what they did is they took our Bureau of Labor Statistics data to create a job search app for high school students. And it's a remarkably easy to use tool. And what I love about it, I only met 2 of the 3 of them, they're also looking for jobs as well. So they're not only crunching the data, but they're consumers of the data. And we spent a long time talking about, like, all right, well, what are the additional questions we would ask? What are the obstacles to how to manage the data? How do you take this to the 2nd generation, 3rd generation? And I love this because they have, I mean, I don't know that they came into this project thinking about the Department of Labor, but I think they left having a greater appreciation about what we at the department have and what government has, and the different uses that it can be, that can go to help workers. And so we're excited about some of the other projects that we're working on. Some of them have just been spoiled a little bit or have been previewed. We are working on an initiative with the University of Chicago. We're going to be releasing a new open skills API to facilitate the development of tools for policymakers, job seekers, and employers to better understand the needs of the 21st century workforce. And as we just talked about, it's going to not only have federal data, but it's going to start to include private data as well, which is incredibly rich and tells you in real time what job openings are out there, what the needs of employers are as well. There's also a new pair-ins job seekers that's going to use our Open Skills API to match individuals to jobs in the area that provide the greatest opportunity for personal and professional success. There's also a LinkedIn training finder that's going to use our data to surface education options that lead to in-demand careers. And we're about to kick off a brand new initiative with the Department of Education that's going to help the most vulnerable workers in our community, the ones who could benefit most from services that the government provides, and help them better understand what their rights are as workers, but also help them understand the educational and professional opportunities they need to lift themselves out of the difficult lives they have. So I'm very excited about this. I want to thank my wonderful Department of Labor colleagues. I want to thank the support of the White House on this initiative. You all have really given lift to the efforts that we were focusing on, but really helped us wrap this in with the broader agenda of helping to create greater opportunity and mobility for everyone. So we welcome you all to the White House. We thank you for the work you're doing, and we're excited to see what comes out of today. So thanks so much.
All right, thank you so much to all of our wonderful first speakers. Let's have another round of applause for them. So we've talked a lot at you so far, and we're going to keep talking, but we're going to turn it now to an actual set of lightning talks that are going to showcase some of these tools and really dig into what has been created. So I want to just not take too much time for this, but just to give a quick introduction to sort of how we've structured the rest of this day. So you'll see in your agendas that the first section of tools that we're going to talk about and ways that people have creatively used data focus on building equitable communities. So there were a lot of technologists and teams who built tools to serve community leaders, rural county officials, advocates, researchers, people who are working at the community level to build more equitable places for people to live and work. And so specifically, Aidan mentioned some of the agencies who have been really critical to this process. So these problem statements were crafted by the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Rural Development, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Department of Transportation, and the Department of Education. So the speakers that you're about to hear are really going to talk about sort of how all of these issues of economic development, affordable housing, and mobility, the ability to move to a neighborhood that has the resources your family needs, the transit access that you need, and good quality schools for your kids, how all of those things come together, and how we can create tools that support community leaders in achieving those goals. So the first person that I'm going to introduce is Michael Solomon, who has spent the last 10 years working in rural America, promoting community and enjoying the small town life as an economic development director. And I will say that we are really excited about the potential of the Opportunity Project to meet the needs of rural America. It's something that if you watch our March 7th event, and you look at what's been created so far at opportunity.census.gov, there hasn't been a lot yet that's really targeted rural America. But today, we're going to talk about the ways that that is possible and the ways that people are creating solutions specifically for rural communities. And a shout out to anyone from USDA who's in the room today. And so I'll turn it over to Michael now, who has worked for Lowell, Arkansas, Goodland, Kansas, and currently works for Pulaski County, Virginia. Before working in government, he worked in the private sector and graduated from the University of Arkansas. And he is going to talk to us about rural America and how digital tools can support economic development across the country. So thank you so much, Michael.
Good morning. Again, my name is Michael Solomon, and I am the economic developer for Pulaski County, Virginia. And as Drew said, I've spent the last 10 years working in rural America, and whether it's Lowell, Arkansas, Goodland, Kansas, or Pulaski, Virginia, I have to make sure I mention all of them because those places don't get shout-outs enough. I have seen firsthand the advantages to living in rural America. I've also seen the challenges there. And small towns cultivate a sense of place and belonging and develop their youth to live by those same values. When I met the next presenter, Carl Pucci, I was excited to hear about how the Estonian e-governance best practices were benefiting our town in Pulaski. And he told me about the Opportunity Project. I wanted to be a part of it. The Find Your Town platform that you will hear about soon is a simple way to tell the story of rural America with federal data and funding. Anything we can do to tell the story of the way that life exists in these communities and helps communities that have been declining in population, and help them to grow is something we should all be behind and be supporting. By growing Hometown America, you are helping to grow communities and their economies and make them more sustainable for the future. So I was trying to highlight some of the experiences I've had in small towns. So the best way to do that is pictures. So this is Goodland, Kansas, and they have a Flatlanders Festival as their festival every year. And these kids are celebrating, they celebrate on their 1 mile brick Main Street that they have there. This is one of the fire trucks in Dublin, Virginia, and they lead the parade, the 4th of July parade every year. This is the Pulaski Yankees game. The Pulaski Yankees are a rookie league affiliate of the Yankees, and we are the second smallest market in America with a professional baseball team. So pretty proud of that. And the best quote I'll say is when we got the Yankees, here we are, a small town in the South, and somebody said, "I never thought I'd root for a Yankee, but I guess I will." And this is the Mudtown Festival in Lowell, Arkansas. And Lowell got the nickname Mudtown because stagecoach drivers used to get their wheels stuck in the mud when they would deliver there. So, of course, you want to celebrate a festival with them. It is very hard to convey to someone how special it is to live in your hometown. You know, we say things like, "Oh, it's great, everybody knows everybody there." And, "Oh, it's so comfortable there." But it's hard to express how you feel about a place. And it's hard to share what that place means to you. My hope is that this application will allow local folks to be able to have access and to be able to tell their story and recruit more people to our communities. I want to take this chance to thank the administration for their commitment to this opportunity project and also their commitment to rural America. I would now like to introduce Carl so he can show you how they are giving lift to our story and helping us and others find federal funding and highlighting the advantage to rural America. Thank you very much.
On behalf of all of us on the Dato Lavella team, thank you, Michael, for that amazing introduction. And on behalf of all of us working for rural America, a warm thank you to the entire Obama administration for making this possible. I'm Carl Pucci, an American whose story took him to this moment via the Northern European nation of Estonia, and to be the very proud father of two, for whom I work every day to build a brighter horizon. Standing in a field in rural America, these girls have no idea what is unfolding here today. As they grow up, they'll be writing the story of all of us, a story where their hometown, their roots, will find a voice like never before, thanks in part to the men and women in this room. A story which, if we succeed, will be unencumbered by poverty, gender, race, skill level, or geography. Yesterday, their leaders in places such as Pulaski and countless rural American communities lacked the technology, highly complex skill set, and funding to tell their story online. Missing this fundamental tool with key data, leaders like Michael struggled to attract the investment necessary to give these girls a future of opportunity. As agencies such as USDA struggled to reach them with instruments of support, leading to countless millions in unallocated funding. As of this morning, Michael's story is empowered by tools such as our Find Your Town, built with simplicity and live data from USDA, Census, HUD, and DOT, and countless others to come. Leaders like Michael are writing the chapter headings of that story for his daughters, and is now able to lift the story of his community online. Tools at no cost is empowering, yes, but our simplicity emboldens. Propelled by one unique twist on Built for Rural by Rural, many on this team worked from the towns of Estonia, a small country by size, but as they say, punching above its weight in technology, an undying belief in the power of the digital revolution in governance. Find Your Town, more than my team, is your team. With the Opportunity Project, Estonia is bringing forth what Estonians do best for those two girls. Not because they are nameless photos on a screen, because they are our girls, my girls, our horizon, the best and the only opportunity for all of us. With one touch, their world can now, for the first time in history, access without cost and with their story, live at a glance, all USDA rural development eligibility and obligations across every field, every town, and every community in America. Today is a moment that a people who overcame the unspeakable see the Estonian-built platform giving lift to the stories of America's communities like Pulaski, Virginia. A moment we step a bit closer to opportunity for girls and boys in every field, in every community across this nation of stories. Through two simple steps in the Find Your Town platform. First, incredibly simple virtual storytelling with data. And secondly, this is the first digital tool to give rural America free, live access to funding available to them to help them develop their economy. As President Obama remarked in Tallinn, Estonia, do not lose the idealism and optimism that is the root of all great change. Don't ever lose the faith that says, if we want it, if we're willing to work for it, if we stand together, the future can be different. Tomorrow can be better.